Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my first English lesson and my first online class for you guys. Yeah, I will upload the explanations and the new theories, etc. on YouTube. So if you like, please don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. But without further ado, let's get into the today's lesson. Um, we're gonna talk about multiplication and division. Um, you probably had some lessons last week or the week before that one, in which we talked about the witch and her cauldron. We're gonna continue with that. I'll give you one example. The witch adds 2 cold blocks 4 times to the cauldron. The question is, does the temperature rise or fall? And if, by how much? Well, we add 2 cold blocks. So that means the temperature will fall, right? Because a cold block will make the temperature fall. If we do this 4 times, well, the temperature will fall even more, right? Because we add 2 cold blocks and multiple times, so it will fall even more. Well, what calculation comes with this? Well, it's 4 times minus 2, because we add 4 times 2 cold blocks. So 4 times minus 2, and that equals minus 8. We'll see why that is. We add minus 2, or 2 cold blocks, another 2 cold blocks, another, and another pair. We see that 4 times minus 2 equals minus 8. Well, we now have exactly the same cauldron, but this time we take out 2 cold blocks 3 times. So we take out 2, another 2, and another 2. That leaves us with 2, which shows that the calculation minus 8 minus 3 times minus 2 equals minus 2. Why is that? Well, we first do multiplication. Minus 3 times minus 2, that equals 6. We'll talk about why later. Well, and then we're left with minus 8 plus 6 equals minus 2. Moving on, we now have a completely new cauldron, and we do the following. The witch takes a new cauldron. Yeah, I already told you. She takes 3 cold blocks out 5 times. What calculation do we have to solve, and what's the final answer? Well, to solve this, we first have to look what kind of numbers these are. This 3 says something about the cold blocks. Cold blocks are negative, so this 3 becomes a negative number, so it's a minus 3 in a later calculation. The 5 says something about taking out the blocks. Well, taking something out is also a minus calculation. For example, if we take out 5 blocks, it's minus 5. The calculation, though, therefore becomes minus 5 times minus 3, because it's a multiplication. Well, we see if we take out, which is something this 5 says something about, 5 times minus 3 blocks, it will become warmer, because we take the cold blocks out. Therefore giving us that minus times minus equals a positive number, in this case 15. Let's look at the next example. How do we solve 2 times minus 10? The 2 says something about adding blocks. We add 2 times, it's positive, so we add. The minus 10 says something about what kind of blocks. Well, in this case, minus 10 means 10 cold blocks. We add them 2 times, so it's 2 times 10 equals 20, 20 cold blocks. We're left with minus 20 blocks, minus 20, or 20 cold blocks. Let's look at the next one. Minus 3 times minus 3. The first one says something about adding or taking out. Well, it's minus, so we take something out. What do we take out? Minus 3 cold blocks. So we take 3 out, take 3 out, take 3 cold blocks out, which means the cauldron is getting warmer. Therefore giving us that minus 3 times minus 3 equals 9. Let's look at the next one. Minus 2 times 2. Well, the minus 2 says something about taking out blocks. The 2 says something about what kind of blocks? Warm blocks. So we take out 2 times 2 warm blocks, 4. So minus 2 times 2 equals minus 4. It's becoming colder. What we see is negative times negative equals positive, negative times positive equals negative, positive times negative equals negative, and positive times positive, of course, equals positive. Let's look at another question. How do we calculate this one? Well, the same rules that apply to normal mathematics also apply here. So it's multiplication first. 3 times minus 2, we just saw that positive times negative equals negative. So 3 times minus 2 equals minus 6. 60 minus 6 equals 54. Let's look at the next one. 40 plus 6 times minus 6. Multiplication first. 6 times minus 6. Positive times negative equals negative. Minus 36. 4. Minus 30 plus 4 times minus 2. Well, multiplication first equals minus 8. Minus 30 minus 8 equals minus 38. One last one. Still, multiplication first. 3 times minus 6. Well, positive times negative equals negative. 12 minus 18 equals minus 6. Well, but what about division? Because you can't really imagine it very easy with the cauldron from the witch. Well, the thing is, we can write a division as a multiplication. For example, dividing by 3 in this case, we can also write 24 times minus 1/3. And now the same rules apply as to the slide before this one. Positive times negative equals negative. So 24 divided by minus 3 equals minus 8. Same rules apply. 18 divided by minus 9. Positive divided by negative equals negative equals minus 2. Minus 24 by 8. Minus 3. Minus 22 divided by minus 11. Negative divided by negative equals positive. So we get 2. Let's look at this question. In 5 hours, a certain temperature falls from 7 degrees Celsius to minus 8 degrees Celsius. The question is, how much does the temperature fall per hour? Well, we know that after 5 hours, the temperature fell by 15 degrees Celsius. We want to know how much this temperature falls per hour. Well, what are the necessary steps? We have to get from 5 hours to 1 hour. That's what we want to know. We know the temperature fall in 5 hours. We want to know it by 1 hour. So we just divide by 5. Well, the same thing is what we have to do with the temperature difference. We have to divide 15 by 5 too, or in this case, minus 15, because it's a decrease. Minus 15 divided by 5, negative divided by positive equals negative, so it's a minus 3 degrees Celsius per hour. Let's have one last set of examples. Calculate and fill in. Greater than or smaller than. Well, minus 8 times 2, we just calculate this one. Minus times negative times positive equals negative. On the right side, it's just a calculation, so we get minus 16. And 1, well, we know minus 16 is smaller than 1. Minus 3 times minus 2.2, negative times negative becomes positive, 6.6. And on the right side, minus 10 divided by minus 2, negative divided by negative also becomes positive. So we see 6.6 and 5. Well, 6.6, of course, is larger than 5. Minus 25 divided by 2 and minus 52 divided by 4. On the left side, it's becoming negative because negative divided by positive equals negative. On the right side, the same. And of course, minus 12.5 is larger than 13. Don't change things up here, because the closer a negative number becomes to 0, the greater it gets. So minus 2 is way larger than minus 30, even though the number itself might be bigger. But just be aware, a negative number has to be closer to 0 to be bigger than another negative number. Well, I hope you learned something in this lesson. I hope my English wasn't too bad, and I see you next time. And stay healthy. Bye.